Ah, thank God. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. There's so much for me to tell you. For the first time in cinematic history, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man's identity has been revealed. And now I am unable to separate my superhero responsibilities into conflict with my normal life and putting those I care most about at risk. MJ, Ned, Happy, and May, their lives are all ruined, all because of me, and they didn't even do anything. So I enlist the help of Doctor Strange, the master of the mystic artist, because we've met and we fought alongside and we know each other. So I figured he could help me out to restore my secret, to make it so that Mysterio never revealed my identity. So in the middle of our spell, it tears a hole into our world, releasing the most powerful supervillains who have ever fought a Spider-Man in a different universe. So I, Peter Parker, will have to overcome my greatest challenge yet, which will not only forever affect my own future, but the future of the multiverse as well. Hi YouTube, welcome to today's video on Sterling on Cinemas, that's Cinemas with an S, and today's review on Marvel Studios Multiverse Saga. It is my most highly anticipated and most excited review I'm giving to you on Spider-Man No Way Home. So, before I begin, if you are new, don't forget to subscribe, click that bell, keep up to date with all things SOS so that we can swing on this journey together, even in the future. And like, and share, and comment, but please don't tell anybody that you saw Peter Parker with Spider-Man, okay? And most importantly, watch it from beginning to end. Now, I must say that this is the longest review that I've ever written for any movie, period, and I have tried my absolute best. This is what I'm giving to you is my non-spoiler review, and what I have typed on this script is what I believe are non-spoiling details. So I will do my absolute best to give you my review without spoiling it, and I will not be ad-libbing this time around because that will only tempt me to spoil it for you, and I would hate to spoil it for you guys. That's just my thing. That's what Peter Parker wants for everybody. Everybody who doesn't already know my secret, I don't need to put it out there. So, let's begin. Okay, well, Spider-Man No Way Home, with it being the most highly anticipated Marvel movie of this year, is not a perfect Spider-Man movie to begin with at first, but it had everything I could possibly want in a Spider-Man film after the first quarter. This and many other traits are enough for this film to be deemed the absolute best of all the Spider-Man movies, and I feel like Spider-Man No Way Home, while not without a few select flaws, does everything that I hoped for in order to deliver the best and most fruitful Spidey experience ever, while solidifying itself as a distinct conclusion to the homecoming era of Tom Holland's Spider-Man at the forefront. The journey of endless speculation that's began like a year and a half ago from the start of a tweet by Jamie Foxx with him showing Electro in front of 3 Spider-Man to now in the speculation and eagerness for this film is simply unmatched with anything else in the MCU or cinema in general, even going as far to be more excited than Avengers Endgame, and Avengers Endgame didn't even have that much secrecy. For as much as I was excited to see the multiversal elements come into play though, I was more concerned with the concrete narrative about Peter Parker's personal life and how the shocking revelation has sparked a cascading effect onto the relationships of those closest to him. May, MJ, Ned, Happy, everybody else that I care and love and I find dearest to me and related to me in some type of way or fashion. So during the first act, the stakes are immediately high with just watching the city latch onto the fact that Peter Parker is most indeed Spider-Man. But we already knew that. The way that this makes Peter's life miserable is on an uncharted level. Not a level of the game Uncharted, but on an uncharted level like you've never seen it before. But I am so glad that they used this plot device as a way to jumpstart a pool of stress and worry onto Tom Holland's Spidey for the first time. And it is a situation that only he can determine what will transpire. Now, It should go without saying that Spider-Man No Way Home genuinely gives us an amazing and spectacular thread of crowd-pleasing fan service, but never comes off as provocative, overshadowing, unnecessary, too much, or overwhelming, or empty. This is exactly what we came to this film to see, what we paid tickets to see, but we are so oblivious and neglectful to what really matters, that what matters the most in this franchise, and that is trying to develop Tom Holland's Peter Parker from being a Spider Boy to becoming a Spider Man. And I can confidently say that they have diligently pulled this one off. At the center of it all, you will hear everybody else say it, or you've heard other critics say it. At the root of Spider-Man No Way Home, it is a Peter Parker driven story. Although the setup is not the most creative or lauded aspect of the film, as some of you would agree, almost everything that follows is received that way as just the best. Like, everything that comes after the spell with Doctor Strange is what makes this the best Spider-Man movie ever. From the usage of the villains and how they are given character arcs, to the anticipating surprises, to the acting by Tom Holland. It is all just excellently executed. Tom Holland's performance as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man is easily his best and outshines his role of stepping up in the shoes of Tony Stark in Far From Home, which I did a review on. Every promise that Tom Holland has given us about No Way Home is indeed fulfilled. Like, it is the most cinematic superhero film of all time. You will see him getting into visceral and physical fights like never before. And he was not lying when he said that this Peter Parker was going to suffer like crazy. And when you see this movie, this will be especially true during the second half of the film. Now, with my girls Zendaya and Jacob Batalons, their characters' significance in Peter's life was embraced here, and how much support and loyalty they both have towards Peter amidst the controversy, even though their lives have been ruined too because of his secret being out there. Now, Zendaya and Tom Holland's chemistry this time around feels less awkward within their characters and more authentic between the actors. And I'm all for it, which makes it all the more beautiful. This film reminds us that this trio is inseparable in the way that they cooperate for the well-being of each other, like how exactly they deal with Peter's double life being disclosed to the world. Now, there's a lot to be said about each of the supervillains. The choice to bring various Spider-Man foes from preceding Spider-Man franchises was the cake that made us wake and made us want to eat up this film alive. It was a no-brainer to bring each of them back and be played by the same actors from those respective universes, especially Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin and Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, that are solidified as legendary. Like, those are the two villain portrayals in the whole Spider-Man canon that are solidified as legendary and iconic. All in all, the villains have amazing banter amongst each other, some better than others, like the banter that Doc Ock has with everybody is better than the banter that Electro tries to have with some. Alfred Molina does not lose his touch on this iconic character with his performance in the bridge fight and during the smaller scenes. But Willem Dafoe plays the Green Goblin like as if he was destined to cross paths with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. As promised, the Green Goblin serves as the main antagonist in No Way Home with his menacing desire to run wild and conquer this universe, despite the possibility of being brought back home to the Raimiverse. Now, this might be a stark contrast to most recent MCU villains who are really written with depth and multi-dimensional character arcs, but Dafoe's mesmerizing portrayal makes his act in 2002 feel dated. Not that it is, because though his role in that movie was always and will be iconic, but this one right here, it is better, but it still continues and reminds us that he was always iconic in this role and he was born for this role, and was the perfect villain to test the boundaries of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Now, speaking of homeworlds, this brings us to what I believe is the underlying premise of No Way Home: liberation. as implied with the Statue of Liberty, during the climactic battle, which is something I questioned when I saw this in the trailer with the Statue of Liberty and how they saw Sandman, Electro, and Lizard against Tom Holland, Spider-Man. I was like, I think they could have chosen a better space for that final battle. But all in all, I mean, it didn't matter to me because it seemed like a very Spider-Man thing to do, to have a fight at the Statue of Liberty. But when you look at the overall scope of why they chose this location, it makes a lot more sense. Because it is not about Peter Parker trying to kill the villains or canceling them out like they have been before, but giving them a second chance at life, just as he would want the world to do for him. Tell me that's not deep. Tell me that alone is not enough to make this the best Spider-Man movie ever. Because it's not about it's not about Peter Parker trying to live two different lives. I mean, the problem is him trying to live two different lives, right? And the longer he does it, the more dangerous it becomes. The goal of trying to clear his name so that the world can view him as a true hero once more sets the stage perfectly for the next era of Tom Holland Spider-Man. And for those of you who don't know, Amy Pascal did say that Tom Holland Spider-Man will be getting 3 more Spider-Man films as its own trilogy in the college trilogy, set in an era where he wouldn't have to rely on other heroes or wouldn't be an amateur or a rookie, but he would be the Spider-Man that you come to expect from this one, especially from Tom Holland, because you know he has a track record of not being the most accurate Spider-Man to the comics, how he's his own hero, doesn't rely on technology, he has his own level of genius. But this movie kind of reminds us on how that he is a very intellectual Peter Parker. Rotten Tomatoes currently has Spider-Man No Way Home at a 94% on the critics' end and a 99% on the audience's end, making it the highest audience score for any Spider-Man film and any MCU movie to date. So, Spider-Man No Way Home absolutely stimulates the excitement that we paid tickets to feel and see, delivers 110% the hype, extracts all of the emotion out of you in ways that you could have not anticipated for the months leading up to the film. Overall, it is the most gracefully made, heartfelt, epic, ambitious, blissful, and the most joyous Spider-Man experience ever to be put to screen thus far. If I were to watch this movie more than once, which I've already done twice in theaters, and I know I'm going to do it a third time next month, I wish I could watch this movie for the first time over and over, because nothing will ever beat my first initial reaction. My first initial reaction for this movie is exactly what I wanted it to be. I was overhyped. I was screaming. I was crying tears of joy. I was loving what I saw. Every single thing after Doctor Strange's spell is exactly what I wanted to see in a Spider-Man movie. So, if this was my initial reaction, I would give it an 11 out of 10. But after watching it twice, I really got to give Marvel and Sony the respect that they deserve and really going to the lengths to bring this movie to life. Like from the script of how you would implement older villains into tying it into the multiverse story that Marvel's trying to tackle with their most recent films and their future movies and TV shows. It works. It absolutely works. On paper, it sounds like it wouldn't work. It sounds like it would be yet another cash grab by Sony. But this one absolutely works because of what it's founded on, not what it's trying to go for. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's founded on Peter Parker's identity out there being Spider-Man, instead of just, let's just put these villains out there because it's it's a Spider-Man 3, and we want this to be the biggest ones in Tom Holland's journey. And it is the biggest movie in Tom Holland's journey so far. But they don't put these villains in here just for the sake of it. I mean, naturally, it feels, while it wasn't a plan to have this be a celebration, it just so happened to be the perfect time to be at the right. This movie happened to be at the right place at the right time, being the perfect Christmas gift for 2021, being the perfect way to end 2021, and just taking advantage for this film to be the celebration of 20 years of Spider-Man cinema. And I just want to say thank you for Sony and Marvel for pulling this off. You have done an amazing job. And I hope that if your relationship continues to play fair, we will keep getting more Tom Holland movies like this. And I am hoping for the best. But that is my review on Spider-Man No Way Home. If you want to catch my spoiler talk / spoiler review / spoiler discussion for Spider-Man No Way Home, you will find that on IG Live a couple seconds from now. But I'll see you guys next time on my next video. Peace out.